Hello, welcome to Mart's Garage. You join me, I'm just having a little bit of a brainstorming session and I want to do some slight modifications to the 32 with regards to some of the switchgear. Here on the table is a dismantled indicator stalk. I think what I want to do is put that on the left hand side of the steering column. And what I want to do is put this on the right hand side of the steering column, and I want to use this as my overdrive switch. And I've just done a bit of cardboard CAD design. What I want to do is cut this shape out of sheet metal, fold it up, weld it along there, and hopefully it might go against the column here. The switch would go into that bit there when that's folded. These tabs would bend down and be captured by that. So I'll have this one sticking out the one way and that one sticking out the other way. I'll find a piece of suitable sheet metal and have a look at making one of these. Okay, back in a bit. Here's the setup in the car. Here's the column, 1.5" diameter. Here's my existing overdrive switch, which I don't like. And this is my indicator switch, which I don't mind, but I think it'd be nice to have one on the steering column. You know, more conventional sort of thing. And then I'll try and kind of run the wires down like a conduit to keep them nice and tidy. I'll bring you back when I've made a little bit of progress. This will be the tricky bit, but I could always just weld a separate piece on. Oh no, that doesn't want to be a sharp bend, does it? Oh well, get the idea. Well, this end doesn't want to be a sharp bend. That one does, this one doesn't. So that'll pan out. The idea that that'll kind of wrap around there like that, and that'll kind of wrap around there like that. Then this will kind of come square here. Okay. Then this bit needs to be cut out to miss the switch. So I'll go a bit undersize on that. This is all done freehand, I haven't measured anything. There's my pattern, so let's get that onto a piece of metal then and cut it out. Okay, that's kind of got it roughed out, very roughed out. About as good as you can do with tin snips. So I'll kind of, I was going to cut that piece out there, But I thought, no, I'll leave that solid, because when I'm welding here, it might just want to burn away if it's like there's hardly anything there. So I thought I'll leave more metal there and then cut it away after. Yeah, I need to change the shape a little bit there as well. Yeah. Let's see what it looks like after I've tidied it up a bit. Okay. So it's I've trimmed it a little bit there, and I've just been using this sort of, you know, to sort of knock these round. Yeah, this is awkward now because I need to bend these down, but just leave a small piece like a channel there for the clip to go around. Okay, let me go and work on this to get the shape I want, because it's a little bit difficult on here. Leave it with me and I'll be back in a sec. This steering column's the same diameter as the one in the car. If you want to see tin bashing, watch RAC Garage or Kyle Carter. They know how to bash some metal. I think that'll do for my little bashy session. A few little weird shapes, but it's because I don't have that much experience of shaping sheet metal. Yeah, I think that's not too bad actually. I'll weld that up. Might gas weld it actually. You know, you can imagine it kind of satin black, can't you? Dull it down a bit. Okay, let's get set up for welding then, and I'll give it a go. I haven't done any gas welding for quite a while. of floaties going around. Okay. My goggles aren't great. Okay, let's try to sit down. Hang on. Oh, I thought it was going to do that. I can't remember what you're supposed to do if it does that. No, it's... It's nice when you can get it nice and relaxed and just going easy. Oops. It's very expensive to maintain oxyacetylene equipment. The acetylene is very expensive. I don't use it very often. Oops. I don't use it very often because what I've done is I've bought a propane bottle and I use oxypropane now when I can. That's a bit of a shit weld, that is. I'm not very pleased with that at all. I'll go and attack with that with a grinder then and tidy it up a bit. Okay. Righto, I'll come back in a bit. There's my piece. Kind of, you know, ground it up a little bit. Radius the corners there. What I've done, I've cut in there and along there. And I'm going to fold these pieces down and maybe fold them back as well to double up where the screws go. So I'll go and see if I can do that, and I'll be back in a sec. That's not too bad actually. Kind of clips in like that. So I will find a couple of screws that will do the job, and I'll drill the holes so it screws on. There's the other piece, and there's my new piece. As you can see, I've put two stainless steel self-tappers in. They kind of went in okay there. This will go something like this, clamping around those little bits that are sticking in. Pardon me. I've trimmed off a little bit there. I've trimmed off a little bit there and a bit there. And I might have to trim off a bit a bit on here. I'll put them up against the column and show you a little bit what I can see. Well, there's my little column stalk there. That's for the overdrive. That'll take the place of that switch down there. So that'll be there. That's at fingertip reach. I am thinking of putting a slightly smaller steering wheel on this car. So that'll be nicely at reach there. It is now, but it'll be even better. It's a bit funny, this switch, because it kind of bends. But, you know, hey. The other piece is wedged on, and this piece goes this side here. I might trim it a bit at the top, or trim that back a little bit, so that they both stick up very slightly. Just a couple of 2 or 3 degrees. But I think it'll look okay. And they're a similar... I know they're not the same colour, but the shape of the knob on the end there is similar. The shape of this is similar. And actually this isn't dissimilar to that. It kind of looks okay, doesn't it? You know, considering it's just a bit of cardboard cut out into a piece of steel. Okay. Righto. I've done all I can for today. I'll have another session another day, and I'll bring you back when there's more to show. Thanks for watching. Cheers then. Bye. The other thing though is I was chatting to my friend Trevor, and we're talking about this. We just sort of had this sitting in place, which is a 40 steering wheel. We looked at that wheel in the car, and he just happened to comment, you know, that looks at home there, it looks good, and even with this patination, it kind of fits in well with the theme of the car. Not that the car's built to a theme, the car's just built as it kind of presented itself, and but the sort of overwhelming theme is of a patinated vehicle. Now the thing is that steering wheel uses a different spline. It uses the Ford taper and key. So my question that I don't expect anybody to answer, the question is to myself: would I prefer to run a 40 Deluxe steering wheel or any other early Ford steering wheel over the one that I have? And I'm looking in the camera now at that steering wheel in that car, and I think it looks pretty good. It doesn't look out of place, which an English sports car steering wheel might look out of place. You know, that looks kind of okay, doesn't it? So I haven't made the decision, but would the most obvious and simplest thing to do, would it be to convert that steering column to early Ford taper and key? I think it might be. And that steering wheel is smaller and lighter than the Hudson steering wheel. The Hudson steering wheel is very heavy. So what started off as a fairly simple job to fit some switches and change a bit of wiring has turned into a fairly major rework. But that's what makes the job interesting, isn't it? You know, the evolution of things. So I think I'll put the dashboard back in just to have a look, see how it looks with the dashboard in place. Okay, back in a sec. That gives a better impression, and I think Trevor's right in many respects, that it does kind of fit in well. It doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. I had considered some sort of wood rim sort of sports car type steering wheel, but I have sort of drawn back from that idea because it can look a bit street roddy, can't it? You know, that's the sort of things you do see in a street rod. I do like those things with the sort of British sports car connotations, because I've got the sports car bucket seats, but I think now that I'm looking at that, that looks okay. So I think I want to do some sort of a rework of the column, possibly try and do it kind of in situ. What I'm talking about, what the job I got in mind is cutting the column and welding the top half of a Ford column to the existing column. I'm talking about the shaft, you know, the tubular shaft. Okay, leave it with me then, and I will look upon this as just an interesting little diversion. But that's an interesting technique there, so that could be useful elsewhere. I think the wheel will fit further forward than that when it's down properly. I need to do some careful measuring, so I will do all that good stuff and I'll come back when there's more to show. Hello. It's not very much later, and I have stripped down the outer shroud of the steering column, taken it out, and I'm also being very careful to maintain the straight ahead position. This is not moved, it's still in the straight ahead position. Now, my understanding is that the keyway in the 40 type column needs to be sticking down. That might not be 100% correct, but I'm going to go with that. You can see there where I joined this column before. I'm not going to try and weld it there. I could do, but it will be more awkward for me to weld. So I'm going to do it up here where I have better access. So I'm going to cover this area up, come in with a grinder and cut this off. I think it'd be easier and quicker to do it with a cutting disc than by any other method. I don't want to remove the steering. If it was easy, I would remove the steering, but it isn't. It's very tight with the engine there. I mean, yeah, okay, this car would be 10 times easier than any other car, but I think to get that steering out, I've got to take the engine out. I don't really want to do that. And I think by doing it the way I'm doing it, I won't even have to take the floorboards out. Okay, leave it with me then, and I'll bring you back when there's more to show. What I've done there is clamped a V-block onto the column, so that V-block will be running square with the column. It's an old one that was, well, scrap years ago from my apprenticeship days. It's got somebody else's name on it. I don't recognise the name, but it was left unfinished, and I thought, oh, that looks useful, I'll have that. Well, by my estimation, the new piece wants to be about 3/4 of an inch shorter than this piece. So I'm going to go and cut the other piece now. I might as well use the same method. I'll go and cut it in the side shed, so I don't like cutting in there. Back in a bit. Once again, Mart misses the opportunity for YouTube video gold. So here's the shaft. Sorry, here's the shaft piece that I've just cut off in the chuck of the lathe. This thread was damaged and I've just repaired it. I didn't film it, but I'll show you what I did. Here is a die. Here is a split. Can you see where I've ground it and then broke it? So what I did, I took the two halves of the die, put them on there, and then put the die holder on, so they were, if you like, upstream of the damage. Then I aligned them, tightened up the screws, and then wound it off like that. And in doing that, by doing that, the bruised part of the thread, which is always the end part, was restored. And now the nut, and this is the same nut as the Hudson, and the same, it's actually the Hudson steering end is the same as an F1. It does have a dead spline on the male part. So there's my shaft and there's my keyway, and I've cleaned it out. I also ran this drill up it because it was full of dirt. Now we don't have them here, but you have something, I think it's called in the States, called a dauber, some sort of dauber thing that fills it with dirt. So anyway, it's full of dirt. Either that or it had just been stuck in the dirt, but it was full of dirt. So that's cleaned up. I've chamfered it. So this part is ready to be welded to the other part. I don't know if I have the correct key. Hang on. Always, you know, always remember to take the chuck out. So that keyway, I need something to go into that keyway to give me an alignment reference, because I want it sticking downwards, at, you know, downwards. So there's my sawn off shaft. This has got to go on there like that, as straight as I can. I need to grind that, so I'm going to get set up and grind that shaft to give me a chamfer. Okay, righto, back in a bit. I've jacked the front wheels off the floor so I can turn the column, and I've clamped another V-block to the column. That before I jacked the wheels up, I kind of aligned it vertically using a spirit level. So hopefully that should keep my datum. So the datum is like that, with the clamp to the left. So I'm going to grind it now. I'm not running a central tube, so I'm going to put that like that. Oh, hang on a minute, I've got to get this back round there. Get this out of there. I've disconnected the battery, by the way. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some sort of safety aspects. So that's ground zero there, isn't it, like that? This V-block's actually got my name on it, would you believe? So I need something that goes in there tight and sticks down. That's a 3/16 Allen key. So if that goes like, if that's how I had it, like that, and that is downwards and parallel to it. Can't really judge it, but like that, they should be hopefully aligned for the straight ahead. Now, I'll be the first to admit, you know, whether it works or not is another matter. Okay, that looks well. That looks vertical, and that looks not quite vertical. Okay, I'm on the right track. I can see that. Ooh, I can see that working. So I can put a big tack there and a big tack there. Okay, here we go. In for a penny, in for a pound. Oh, I just scratched on the tire. Unfortunately, this is a left-handed weld for me. No, it ain't. Can't see. My machining instructor at college would go mad now, and I'm using my V-blocks as welding fixtures. These are mine. These are the ones I made. Those other ones with the other name on were never finished. These ones were never finished. Mine were finished. So these have been hardened but not ground. These have been hardened and ground. Anyway, that's the job done. I'm not going to grind the welds down. I'm not even going to give you a close-up view. They're okay. You just have to take my word for it. I'm not a chancer. Well, I am, but not when it comes to stuff like this. The only thing I need is a thing. I'll have to have a look through all my stuff and see if I can find a key. So there's no reason why I can't just put the column back together. Yeah, it just compresses it a little bit. It don't look too bad actually. Obviously that's a little bit rough at the moment, but it's kind of okay. It's not tightened down. I haven't tightened it. It's just a little bit loose. It will go on a bit further than that, I think. It just about sits there like that. Now I haven't got the correct type shroud. Well, I have, but it comes down a lot further than this, and I couldn't have got my switchgear on that I want to put on. So I'm going to go with that. And what I might, pardon me, what I might do is make a little flat, relatively flat piece that just comes at the back there. Maybe out of aluminium or something, a bit of a turning job on the lathe, just to tidy it up. But the basic job there is done, and I think it was worth just doing it like this. It doesn't need anything more than that, because this bearing at the top is very tolerant. A tiny bit of run out isn't going to affect the bearing. It's all done with a big taper piece and a spring. I'm going to leave it at that for now, and hopefully, you know, well, it's a little change, isn't it? And now I'm looking at it now, I think it's the right choice. It looks okay. It looks okay. So yeah. I'm not a great welder, and well, I'd have done better with it kind of down flat, welding from above, but it was okay. It was okay. You never know, that steering wheel might be the subject of a bit of a tidy up at some point, but I might just see how I get on driving it with it just like that. If I don't even think about it, you know, if I don't even give it a second thought, I'll be happy to leave it like that. And what I need is a horn button. Maybe that'll be another bit of a turning job. I don't need a horn button to blow the horn, I just need a centre cap. Maybe I can find something suitable. Okay, righto. Once again, thanks for joining me in the garage then. I'm glad I put this sheet down. It's saved a lot of mess, hasn't it, in the car? You know, not to mention burns on the floor. I'll have to get one of them, you know, welding blankets or something. Okie doke, righto. Little bit by little bit, a little bit of a change here, and you know, it's a nice, yeah, I'm happy with that. It's a nice looking wheel. Okay, thanks very much for joining me in the garage then. Take care, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.